Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. For those of you who don't know, my name is Samson, and here on Samsonite Fitness and Reviews, we try to bring you the absolute coolest cars that manufacturers have to offer. And in today's video, oh yes, we have the brand new 2023 Ford Bronco Raptor. Now, many of you may not know, but the Ford Bronco, this is not its first time in appearance. It has been done by Ford before as one of their off-road focused sport utility vehicles, or otherwise known as SUVs. However, they did decide to bring it back, try to compete with some of their other rivals like Dodge with the Jeep Wrangler. And the main competitor of the Bronco Raptor is the Jeep 392. And so in today's video, we're going to go over some of the things that makes the Bronco not only different from Jeep and the regular Bronco, but also some of the things that separates it from the competition, period. The value of these SUVs is skyrocketing, and many of them, as this one's sitting right around $105,000. So the value of them is definitely going up. You can barely find these out on the road, much less for sale. So let's go into some of the features I believe that you'll like, some of the features that I like. But just like that, guys, let's get into it. Now, one of the main things that you'll notice about the Bronco Raptor, aside from not only the Jeep 392, but the Bronco in general, is this overall size. Now, many of you may be accustomed to seeing the Bronco with the Sasquatch package. This is not that. Almost everything has been revised for the Bronco Raptor to sort of make it almost its sort of one-off spec vehicle. Down to the wheels, you come standard with 37-inch tires, which at the time of production were the absolute biggest tires ever mounted from the factory on a production SUV. And those massive tires are mounted to some 17-inch beadlock wheels, which can give you all the capability that you may need for off-roading. Under the suspension, you do get Fox shocks. Now, this is from Ford. These shocks are revised completely from what you would get in the regular Bronco to try to help handle some more of that off-road load and use that they would like you to use this vehicle for. These revised Fox shocks and struts also allow for a little bit more articulation. And let's talk about ground clearance for a second. With the Bronco Raptor, you get 13 inches of ground clearance, which is absolutely major when it comes to any type of SUV. I believe it is actually 1 inch more than the Bronco with the Sasquatch package, which is absolutely insane as far as a feat of engineering that Ford was able to come through with. Coming to the side, you can see you do get these absolutely massive wheel arches to help cover up those wheels. Now, as far as width goes, the new Bronco is about 5 inches wider than the actual Bronco with the Sasquatch package. It does have competition axles in it to try to help with some of that off-road use, help it withstand more wear and tear, as well as widen out the track width a little bit more. And so it does make for an overall very beefy stance, very, very nice stance. And in order to accommodate that stance, Ford did have to add these extra very, very large wheel arches to the Bronco. You do also get these what some people call them louvers. You can also call them heat extractors, but you do get these vented fenders on the front of the Bronco to try to help bring some heat out of that engine bay to help you with performance, to make sure that the engine doesn't get heat soaked. And not to mention, it really just looks real badass on this particular car. And sticking with that very wide and brawny look, you can see from the front of the Bronco, you do get this absolutely massive skid plate that's underneath the bottom of it to try to help with some of the rock crawling that you may do, to make sure that nothing underneath the front or bottom of the Bronco gets damaged. You also get these two hooks in front of the bumper where the skid plate is to try to help with towing if you need to. The bumper also comes with these rock crawling lights to try to help you see things at night a little bit more. Whenever you're trying to go rock crawling, you can also use them for fog lights, which I suspect most people probably will. The end of the bumper, I actually pull off this piece right here. You can actually unscrew, pull off to not only help with the front approach angle, but also help with articulation to make sure that the tire doesn't hit the front bumper whenever you are going over some rough terrain. As far as the actual lighting in front of the Bronco, you still get your halo LED lights. However, you do have a new addition of 3 lights here in the center. Now, the reason why Ford had to go with 3 lights in the center, these lights are amber, and it's because by federal regulation, if the vehicle is wider than I believe 80 inches, there has to be lights in the center so that people are able to gauge where the center of the vehicle is, as well as lights on the outside so people are able to gauge where the outside of the vehicle is. Ford does that by adding the center lights right here in the middle with those 3, and also adding an amber light right here on the side view mirror to be able to help folks see you and gauge exactly how big and wide you are. Another addition to the front end of this Bronco is that massive front grille with Ford spelled out. Now, you guys may be accustomed to seeing that on the Ford Raptor. However, they did bring that same styling cue to the Bronco, and I imagine a lot of people who got a regular Bronco are probably going to try to find some kit to try to make their Bronco look like the Bronco Raptor. Coming up to the hood, you also get this black panel on the top of the hood, which is a heat extractor or louver, like how it is on the fenders, and that is for removing some of that heat from the engine, allowing it to prevent heat soak, and also allow it to perform more effectively whenever you are trying to take it off-road, or if you decide to take it to the desert and have a little bit of fun with it. You do have the Raptor badge on the side of those louver vents on this black panel, and so it does come as an overall very, very nice package for this Ford Bronco. And the front end is very, very distinct, not only by the width, but the actual design of the Ford Bronco Raptor. Coming to the side and somewhat rear of the Ford Bronco Raptor, you do get these very gnarled step ups. That way that you can get into the vehicle. For some of your shorter people, it might be a little bit hard because, like I mentioned, it does have 13 inches of ground clearance, so it is extremely raised from the factory. However, these right here, these step bars, absolutely beautiful addition to the Bronco Raptor. It does have Raptor embossed into the actual steel itself. Now, you can remove these if you want to get a little bit more ground clearance, and behind these are actual rock sliders. And so even if you decide to remove these for whatever reason, you still do have something that will be protecting you from rocks or that rough terrain that you're riding on. Coming to the back, this rear wheel arch fender does have a little bit of a protection over it, just to make sure that if rocks are getting kicked up from the front, they don't necessarily scratch up this rear wheel arch too bad. So it does have a little plastic protection up here that can be removed and replaced if it does end up getting too scratched up. Now, one good thing about the Bronco Raptor is that not only does it have a little bit more of a stylistic look to it over the Jeep Wrangler, however, you can also remove the doors and the roof just like you can on the Jeep Wrangler. Now, all Bronco Raptors will come with this hard top roof. However, it can be easily removed, maybe a 10-15 minute process. However, the doors and the top is removed, so you can have a full open air experience just like you would get with your Jeep Wrangler. So Ford gives you every incentive to not make that a reason why you would choose the Wrangler over the Ford Bronco. Coming around to the rear of the Bronco, you can see it's not a whole lot to look at, and that is because since Ford does decide to give you those absolutely massive wheels and tires from the factory, you do need a massive spare tire to go with it, and Ford gives you a 37-inch tire with that 17-inch rim. That way that if you do end up having a flat, which with these extremely beefy tires, it would be highly unlikely for you to, unless you are doing some real hardcore off-roading, you are able to change it from the factory. They give you this. Now, one dilemma of this tire is not only does it take up a lot of space back here, however, it doesn't allow Ford to put a whole lot of badging. And so you're able to see a very, very small Raptor badge right here in the bottom left corner of the rear trunk, I guess you could call it. And you also see a Bronco badge right here on the right side. But that is all the badging that you get in the back, because there is not much space at all for it to be able to put badging. Now, when it comes to this rear bumper, the rear bumper does have a very, very off-road, very brawny look to it. It is a very, very small bumper to allow a little bit more movement and articulation and ground clearance of the vehicle, especially if you're coming off of a rock. You don't want your rear bumper to drag on anything. So it is a very, very small bumper. You do get these tow hooks on the back, as well as a tow hitch right there in the center. If you decide you want to tow something like a trailer, you also get your accessory attachments for being able to hook up those trailer lights. Another downside of having this massive rear tire on the back is that the rear third brake light is placed up so high on the actual rear tailgate. And so that makes it real difficult for somebody to see out of the back of the Bronco whenever you're trying to back up or just look in your rearview mirror to see what's behind you. Now, just like those three amber lights in front so that somebody can gauge how wide you are, they also have to fit those same three lights, except these are red because they are brake lights. They have to fit those same three lights for the rear brake light as well. And so the three lights are right here, and on the side view mirrors, they have another red light on each mirror that faces backwards. So that way they were able to integrate those federal regulations into the Bronco without having to compromise too much on styling. But that is another downside of this massive rear tire, is the absolute height of this third brake light. One other thing, with this being such an off-road focused vehicle, Ford did not elect to have the exhaust show off a little bit and come out of the vehicle. So if you haven't noticed, you don't see any exhaust tips in the back. The exhaust is almost right up under the bumper, almost tucked in, so that it can not add any difficulty to you being able to clear stuff from your rear bumper whenever you're declining on a hill or off a rock or something like that. However, that is another downside of having this truck be so off-road focused. Up under the hood of the Bronco, you do get a completely different powertrain than you would get in your regular Bronco, even the Bronco with the Sasquatch package. In fact, this is a completely different powertrain from the powertrain that you would even get in your F-150 Raptor. In this, you do get a 3-liter twin-turbo V6, puts out right around 420 horsepower. Now, this Bronco does have a towing capacity of right around 4,500 pounds, which is a positive in my opinion, and probably in y'all's opinion as well, meaning that you would be able to tow some stuff with it if you want to. Now, the power of the Bronco Raptor is a little bit less than what you would get for your Jeep Wrangler 392. However, you do get a lot more unique styling, a lot more off-road capability. And even with the amount of power that the Bronco puts out, it still weighs a little bit less than the Jeep 392, coming in right around 5,700 pounds. Now, it is mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission. And so depending on how you look at it, some people may say that the decrease in power is a detriment. However, this twin-turbo 3-liter V6 does put out over 400 horsepower, and it would be very capable against a 392 Wrangler and off-road as well. Now, getting into the Ford Bronco Raptor, it is a completely revised in nearly every way form of the regular Bronco. You do have carbon fiber on your steering wheel with your Raptor badge at the bottom. The steering wheel is different from that in the regular Bronco in that it is a little bit beefier, allowing you to grip it a little bit better whenever you're going off-road. It does have a better feel. It does have that center stripe to let you know exactly where top dead center on the steering wheel is. It is stitched in that cold red orange, and just the whole thing is leather wrapped. Just a very, very nice steering wheel setup. Now, on the steering wheel, you do get a plethora of buttons. You get a button for being able to open and close the valves on your exhaust system, as well as a button for stiffening up or lightening up your suspension. You also get a button that stiffens or lightens up your handling for your steering wheel, as well as another button that allows you to just configure whatever you may want. So let's say you want a louder car, but you want lighter handling. You can configure it however you want to configure it. As far as the other buttons on the steering wheel, you do get your adaptive cruise control, as well as your other controls for being able to go into this very configurable gauge cluster and choose whatever you want. You do get these paddle shifters on the Bronco as well. Very, very high quality paddle shifters. They are made out of aluminum. And the beautiful architecture within this car, you get carbon fiber up here on your grab handle for the driver. This almost navy blue style leather throughout the entirety of the Bronco, and the navy blue leather with this code red stitching. Just a very, very beautiful spec. Now here on the dash, you do have the ability to go in and lock your axles and choose from a plethora of different modes when it comes to going off-roading. You also get the ability to turn your traction control off. Up here on the top, you get your different aux buttons, and these are pre-made so that if say you want to add a light bar, you can hook the light bar up to these aux switches and allow yourself to run them off of here instead of having to wire up something that looks real janky. Just an overall very, very nice setup. Coming to the top of the dash, you do get your Bangs & Olufsen sound system, 3 speakers at the top, as well as a charging port for plugging in things like a GoPro if you have it, dash cam, those type of things. Very, very nice setup. Now in the center console area, you do get what Ford calls GOAT mode. Now we know GOAT is greatest of all time. Ford uses GOAT as goes over all terrain. Very nice play on words, but they do give you choices between your 2 high, 4 low, 4 high, a bunch of different drive modes for being able to basically pull stuff, tug stuff if you need it. You do get these 2 cup holders in the center. This very, very nice, almost gunmetal gray trim in the center. Ford does also give the passenger 2 grab handles, again made out of carbon fiber. You do get this very, very nice gear shift lever with the Bronco logo up there, again made out of carbon fiber. And you also get that very, very nice code red stitching for the shift boot. Another thing that's unique to the Bronco Raptor that Ford gives you is this plate. Now, the plate doesn't say stuff like you're used to plates saying, whether it's the engine or even the serial number. It's literally just a Bronco plate with the front grille of the Bronco, but it just adds to the special and uniqueness of this Ford Bronco Raptor. It says Ford Performance. Very, very nice setup. You also get a wireless charging setup in this center console, as well as a USB-C and USB port. You also get your completely revised infotainment system with this absolutely massive display. The touch screen on it is very, very responsive. And you also get full climate control for both the passenger and the driver, allowing a little bit more configurability with your climate control. Now the seats are heated and ventilated. You also have a heated steering wheel, and of course you get your regular things like your radio controls and such. Very, very nice setup. You also get your mirror switches in the center. Now, like I spoke of earlier, these doors are completely removable, and so they do want you to be able to still, I guess, use the windows for whatever reason. If the doors are removable, I don't see why you would need to have your window switches in the center. However, they do give you the window switches in the center so that you can still have them if you need them. In the actual center console itself, it is made out of a very, very soft touch leather material with the Ford Raptor badge right there embossed into the leather. Opening it up, it does have a very, very deep amount of storage to it, as well as a tray on top to allow you to be able to put stuff that you might not have to want to reach way down into the center console for. The creme de la creme of this entire Bronco, in my personal opinion, are the seats. The seats have this code red speckling in it. They are suede on the center of the seat, and they are also a bolstered on the outside of the seat, and they are made out of leather on the outside. You do get the Raptor logo embossed into the actual suede of the seat, and the very overall nice setup with the code red stitching. Very beautiful setup. The doors as well, you get this very rugged plastic material throughout most of the door. Again, these are meant for off-road and it's meant to get dirty, but so you get this very rugged material on the outside of the door that comes with a net, and it also comes with the there's very nice blue leather on not only the armrest portion but also up here around where the door handle is. Very nice but simplistic setup on the door. To the dash, one more time, you do get the Bronco script on the passenger side of the dash in that code red, and you also get a very configurable gauge cluster. This gauge cluster pulls up things like navigation. It has all your different drive modes in it, and it'll have a graphic display for each of the drive modes. And so it is very configurable. Love how clear and color perfect everything is on this gauge cluster. And overall, a very nice interior, especially for the front seat occupants. Getting into the rear of the Bronco, it's a lot of the same as far as the quality as you will see in the front. You still get this very plush leather with that same blue with the code red speckling on the inside. You do have, again, these custom floor mats with the Bronco logo on them. Very nice. Now, one thing I don't necessarily like about the rear seats is that you are seated very upright. You don't have much room to actually lay back at all and relax. You are in a very upright position, in a higher position than you would be in the front. And so overall, the rear quality, the rear seats are very beautiful, very nice. One thing that I love about the Bronco, that's a very small thing, but I really love about it, is these red seat belts. These seat belts are very bright. You're used to seeing gray seat belts in just about any car. So whenever you see red seat belts, love the styling on them. You get your household outlets in the back as well as window switches in the center. Very nice look to this rear interior. Getting into the rear tailgate of this Ford Bronco, you will pull this open. Luckily, even with this massive tire, they do give you a little bit of hydraulic assist to help you pull it open because it is still a little bit heavy. Coming to the back, you do get a decent amount of space, as well as these custom mats again with your Ford Bronco. Now, this rear trunk, this rear window does lift up to give you a little bit more space and an airy feel if you want it. So this is not all the opening that you get. The rear does lift up to give you a little bit more clearance to put things on. Overall, the rear is very simple. Not a whole lot of buttons and gimmicks like you may be accustomed to seeing with some of your rivals. However, just a very simplistic rear. And just like that, that is a review of the Ford Bronco Raptor. Like I said, guys, if you're able to pick up one of these, you have to grab them. They are skyrocketing in value. This one right here is selling for $105,000 here at Capital Subaru in Greenville, North Carolina. Very nice example, finished in this white color. Absolutely lovely example of this car. But just like that, please let me know your favorite feature about the Ford Bronco, as well as some other things that you would like to see on the channel. But just like that, I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.